So this is my third film on the Gaugemaster Infinity DCC System. I'm now going to have a look at some larger scale models. So this is the Lenz O-Gauge BR01. And we're going to have a look at more advanced function control as well. So there's two things going on here. There's some things you're going to learn on the Infinity system, but it is also going to be a shameless plug for the Lenz O-Gauge models. So sit back and enjoy. So Lenz are a DCC pioneer. Bernd Lenz helped write the original code for DCC back in the 90s. He's staunchly in favour of standardisation. He wants everything to be compatible and has got quite angry about it in the past when it hasn't been. So his own decoders, his own system is fully DCC NMRA compliant. Of course, I'm looking at the DCC Infinity system. The Lenz system has a lot more capabilities, but this is a nice mid-range system, and of course the wirelessness gives it some attractiveness, particularly in large scale. So, Lenz have also been beavering away in the background, so technologies they've brought to DCC are Railcom, which is bi-directional communication. It allows the locos to communicate back to systems. This one, sadly, in this case, hasn't been adopted by the Infinity system. Lenz have also developed this thing called ABC braking, where locos will brake on asymmetric power feed. So there are lots of features that the other manufacturers have adopted that were developed by Lenz. And this loco actually demonstrates something they've been doing more recently, but it needs much more critical adoption. Lenz have gone into motor control in a big way, and they wanted to deal with back EMF. So you've noticed when a loco starts pulling away, you get a descending wail. That high frequency noise is the back EMF in action. Now, this huge loco is silent. And to do that, it does need a good quality motor and gearbox. But it also needs a magnetic angle sensor, so they're doing the load control from magnetic sensors. So it's a quiet revolution, as they say. It's not big and flashy, and it does need manufacturers to come on board to make the locos specifically for this system. So I think that's why they put it in their O-Gauge range, because they have control over that. So this is a big loco, and it's standing draw just with the lights on, 0.08, 80 milliamps. For comparison, the Bachmann Class 37 standing draw was about 30 milliamps. But there is a big decoder and there is a power pack in here, and let's demonstrate the power pack. So if the loco loses contact, it will actually hunt for power until it finds it. And there's 3 or 4 seconds of power held within the loco. So that charging up of the power pack is probably what's drawing the slightly higher current on this. Right, let's have a look at some functions. Function 1, function 6 turns on the cab lights, and function 3 is the main sound. So we're going to have a look at the higher order functions. So this system goes up to 69 functions, and to do that you've got blocks of 10. You can see that 1, 3 and 6 are lit up on that line. If I press this button, it will flash and go and press a number. So 1 will be from 10 to 19, 2 be 20 to 29, 3, and you get the point. So let's go back to the block 10 to 19. So this loco has got the running gear lights or maintenance lights on 16. Different whistles on 14 and 15. And a boarding call. So that's your higher order functions and how you access them. I think this has about 28 functions, so let's go into the 20 to 29 range. And you see on the display, it does show the function that's activated. And if you leave that activated, we can go back to 0 to show the other functions that are on. So a little bit of discipline is needed to go back and turn off functions when you're finished with them. It's the turbo generator spooling down on the loco. Let it settle a bit. So another nice function this loco has is the dynamic smoke generator. Function 8 controls the smoke generator, 9 is the blowdown from the cylinders. So you can see that the current consumption has now gone up to half an amp, which is impressive for a large loco. We've seen O-gauge locos drawing 2 amps. And most of that power consumption is the smoke generator, the heater. So now the smoke generator is heating up a bit. It's quite cold in this room this morning. We get improved volume from the smoke. We're still only drawing 550 milliamps. Obviously the loco's running at slow speed, that power consumption will increase. I think they tried to aim to get the whole thing beneath an amp, which is quite impressive for such a large model, and the heater really gobbles the power. We turn that smoke off. You see the consumption falls quite back. 150 milliamps. It does increase as you bring more motor power in. But really impressive for such a large model. Eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed the T-bar coupling. It's a Lenz development for O-gauge. When they started their O-gauge range in the 2000s, they wanted to bring it back indoors, so they wanted everything to be plug and play. They also wanted the ability to go around 3-foot radius curves, and believe it or not, this massive loco will go around 3-foot radius, 914mm radius. The T-bar stops the buffers from locking, so that's the biggest problem you encounter when you're on tight radiuses with like models. So it's not the prettiest thing, but it has a great functionality, and also it allows you to shunt with the models. So the digital uncoupler gives a lot of more flexibility. You can run locos around trains without having to get in there with a pair of tweezers to undo a screw link. This is held on by a couple of screws underneath, so you can remove the entire head, and you can fit an accessory that puts a screw link on the front of these and on the rear of these models, and they sell them separately. But with the screw links, they will be 5-foot radius, so it's horses for courses there, and plus you lose some of the operational functionality of the models. So I've now brought in one of Lenz's coaches. You can see how neatly they couple up with that T-bar coupling, and on the loco we can turn out the rear lights. They're on function 1, so more realistic. Now the coach I've added to the roster, so if I look at that, I've added it, they're all on address 99, so the coach, I've written a entry for it on address 99. You can select it that way, or their rostering system means that I can switch between the loco and the coach very quickly using the recall button. Okay, the main lights are on 0, and then some of the functions there will allow you to switch out individual compartment lights. The lighting again has a full power pack, so it will keep it smooth on dirty track, and it grabs a real lot of time. And they're perfectly free running and able to go around the 3-foot radius curves as well. Oops, let's jump back to the loco. Right. See how the power's increasing now. We've got the coach on there, 600 milliamps out of the 3000 that's available. So could be used for a small layout. They do make a 6 amp variant of this system, so I'm using it on the basic version. It's nice to demonstrate. Now the smoke's better. It actually cooled down quite a lot in my room. So I've added this little V60 diesel. We'll go in to the loco roster. We can get rid of the coach now, so we'll park that. And then I've added a record that says V60 at the bottom. I'm going to add that. So now my roster contains the 01 and the V60. A lovely feature that the driver faces the correct direction. With the two locos, the current draw is 130 milliamps, and that's not bad. Even their smaller locos have the digital couplings. As well as the digital couplings, the Loco has the power seeking and the power pack. If it comes completely off the track, it will shut itself down. And you get this slightly spooky sensation when you're close enough for it to detect the signal. So you can get that off and running. And then with the roster system, go to the O1. So jumping between locos is really quick. All of that one-handed as well. Again, you have that superb mechanism. So Lenz have a huge stock of O-gauge models. We keep some in stock in the UK, and we can draw stock in for special order if people wish. This is an E44 which I've added to the list. Function 11, let me go to that. Pantograph. Go back to the zero range there. Compressed air whistle. It's just there on the Loco. And again, you'll note that the driver figure moves. Some of the classic electrics have an amazing sound. So there we are. Again with the couplers. And also with the internal power packs and power seeking. Here's a handy tip with the roster. Once you've finished with a Loco, you can delete it, but you need to park all the Locos. So, oops. I think it's just those two that I've got there. So they're parked. You press the power button to get back there. It says it's empty, the roster. Go to the menu. 3 again. Edit Locos in 1. And select the one you want to delete. Edit. And now the option at the bottom appears, delete E44. Select. So that's how you delete out records on the handset that you're no longer using. So edit and down to the bottom and delete. I don't think the delete appears if you haven't parked all the Locos, so you don't accidentally delete one out that's still running.